government institution or be it primary or secondary school in Gwarimpa, and I have the opportunity of enrolling my child in a school in Gwarimpa where I pay my tax, I want to believe that the duty, the least I expect from the local government council or the area council in my vicinity is to ensure that my children get the best of education at primary school level and secondary school level. But what is the case in FCT? It is most unfortunate, quite appalling, and most embarrassing that this issue we are talking about is something that is happening or taking place in the Federal Capital Territory. Can you imagine a situation whereby primary school pupils who are supposed to be in school are now on the streets hawking because the area council have refused or have failed in their responsibility to pay salaries to teachers who have worked? From January till date is how long? Have we ever sat back to ask ourselves, how are these teachers managing? Do they have any other business they are doing? The answer is no. So the basic question is, how are these teachers managing? And why is it difficult for the area council chairmen who swore oath to uphold the integrity of the seats they are occupying? Why are they finding it difficult to do the listing, which is payment of salaries and arrears and allowances of these teachers? The billionaire, if we don't take things seriously, there is a saying that if you can't stand the heat, please kindly leave the kitchen. I wonder why somebody would make out time, purchase form, join a political party, campaign, purchase form for a particular position, campaign, and when you get into office, the basic things you're supposed to do with regards to education, health, and even security, you fail woefully in doing all those things.
Hi, Chief. Before I move to Mazi, and Somi, I don't know, would you call education basic again in Nigeria as it is today?
Well, there are levels to it. At some level, it is basic education. Yes. As you progress, then it becomes, a little more than that.
Where we can't pay the teachers for this basic, what you call basic.
But that's the unfortunate part, because it really shouldn't be a problem. So the question now becomes, who is following up with the area councils? The FCT minister made an intervention earlier on in the year. What was the further directive given to them? What was the instruction given to them? How are they getting the funds? Is it a case of lack of funds, or is it a case of misappropriation of funds? The funds were allocated and they refused to disburse. What exactly are we dealing with here, and why is nobody taking the area council chairman to task on this matter?
I mean, when you look at it from that point, when you talk about funds, there is no area council in the FCT today that does not generate revenue, whether from AMAC to Kuje to Abaji and the likes of them. They all generate revenue, heavy revenue at that. I mean, revenue that even cross to even offending some motorists. Because you can't tell me why a human being will buy his car, buy a Sienna vehicle, registered it with VIO, and it is a private-owned vehicle. And then you see AMAC people stopping the person that is not paying AMAC fee. And then you talk about revenue. They should be able to pay because they are generating revenue. Mazi, you're welcome to the show. Let's talk.
Thank you so much, Sahel. Good morning, Abuja. You say whether it's a necessity. I think the way it is now is a luxury. And I do not think the way our politicians are running the system that you expect every parent to, afford that. I mean, sending your child to school, it has become a luxury. I mean, it's no longer when you say, because as far as education is concerned, just like my brother was saying, in some places it's completely free. And most times they even pay you something to take care of your children, to make sure that they eat and they go to school, at least primary and secondary education. This morning while I was coming, I saw the exit gate that we used to, if you're leaving my complex.
Yes, sir.
I saw a woman, there's an elderly woman who sells banana there.
Yes.
So I was surprised to see her daughter. You have taken
me there before.
I was surprised to see her daughter, around. And she was telling the girl, carry your own, they go your own side. And I was like, Mama, why is she not in school? And somehow the thing, hit me that the public schools won't be opening their doors today to students. Now, that child, a girl of maybe 13, 14 or so, will have to be in the street to hug banana and granite with the mother. The other day, I think that was 3 weeks ago, I can't remember whether you were around. Remember I told you that our local government chairmen, many of them drive a SUV like Prado, and they even have a Hilux that do escort them. You know how much a Prado costs? If you get your monthly allocation from the federal government or whoever that gives them, and you spend that kind of money to buy luxury cars, what do you have left to pay salaries and run and maintain other whatever it takes for you to make sure that the local government functions? The truth of the matter is that, just like I said, an average Nigerian politician, this is my personal opinion, it looks like, and it's like all of them, they are vibing it from up to down, from top to bottom. It's like they are like that. They will impoverish you, put you in a position where you be like a beggar. So whatever they throw at you when they need you, you collect it and manage and still support them. We just talked about a day election before we came in. Congratulations to whoever is declared. But will you truly say that those who voted really voted this person because this is who I want? The guy some of these guys who are running the local government, the 6 area council that we have in FCT, if there's an election today, don't be shocked that some of them will still come back. When FCT Minister Somi made the first intervention by paying part of that salary for the teachers,
that he came to meet,
he made to. It's not like those money accrued under his accumulated under his administration. He made them. The previous people didn't handle it, and he paid. My people say, I don't know how to put that adage. It's almost like you come to my house and you say, "Oh, give me this your goat. Give me one goat." Maybe you say that I have many. You say, "Give me." It's not enough for me to give you. Can you feed the goat? Can you take care of it? The honorable minister intervened the first time. Is he how is going to continue intervening? This one that they are crying, they should give them autonomy. It will not work. This is one of the reasons why people will not support them, because they are practically useless to us. You are talking about teachers today, the health centers, the other small, what are they doing? And the problem with the local government council is not finance. Go to plazas and see all manner of taxes that they come to collect from shops. We are not talking about the one that goes to federal government. Do all manner.
Yeah, there's one called entertainment tax. Yes, they pay merriment.
You have a radio in your car. They will say it's tax something. And I was asking, you bought the radio for me.
Radio license.
They will collect that one. You carry Sienna, that is a private car, you pay for it. And if you refuse to pay any day, they carry something inside it. They say no. They are going to take money from you that you're not supposed to use it to carry. How will you not tell me how to use my own car that I bought with my money?
All right, let's go to Lolo. Lolo is in the studio this morning. When it comes to education, Lolo will show up 2 times.
Is our field.
That's our angle. And Right Honorable Usang for God, Chief.
Professor, Doctor.
Don't miss that title.
Okay, Professor Dr. Chief Usang for God makes it to the studio this morning.
You don't know how much rain is outside.
I know. Lolo, let's have you for like 2 minutes before we go on a quick break.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is a very touching topic we're talking about here. Children being at home because somebody is not doing what he or she is supposed to do. The only crime these children committed was just being born into a poor family.
So, Lolo, I think you share that mic with Mazi. I can't hear you properly.
That's fine. All right, thank you.
Okay.
So, like I said, the only crime they committed was just being born into a poor family. And even what is basic is no longer basic, which is education. And the thing is that it's even happening in the Federal Capital Territory. We're not talking about other states here. We're not talking about maybe states that are not as, maybe I should put it in quotes, rich as FCT. This is where the president resides. This is where the ministers reside. And we're talking about teachers not being paid. Are we going to blame the teachers? No. Teachers that are going on strike, I'm not going to blame them. They too, they have what is pinching them. They are suffering too. And these people have been given, it's not as if they were not given this money. I want to believe so. So this money was available. They just didn't make it available. I don't know the kind of leaders we have right now, honestly. People find themselves in leadership positions, and all what they are thinking about is themselves, their pockets. They don't even care about the next person out there. These children are at home. It's painful. Honestly, as someone who is passionate about children, I can't even imagine it. And it's happening to children of the poor, people who cannot even speak for themselves. Trust me, I've never heard where politicians are being owed their salary. Even in private schools, when I was working in, there's a school I was working in, when teachers were owed, parents spoke, they came out and they told the management, pay these people their salary. Why? Because they are teaching our children and we pay school fees. So who is going to speak for these people? These parents, these children will remain at home until God knows when, because nobody is ready to speak for them. It's very pathetic.
All right.
Honestly.
It's very pathetic. That's what Lolo says this morning. We go for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll resume the town hall with Right Honorable Chief Usang for God, who will now also lay his own premise on the conversation. Then we'll open up the phone lines for you to join us. We might go a little past 11 this morning on this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is 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 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
With Usang for God on his take on the conversation here this morning. You're welcome.
Yes, good morning, Professor Somi, Elder Mazi Desin Anthony.
I think Usang, you use this mic. I can hear you clearly. Let me be sure that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to thank you once again for this privilege, and thank the management of Nigerian Info for extending this privilege to every one of us. Abuja, I agree. Now I want to stand on existing protocol, but permit me to also make this quote. According to George Washington, say education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Then Aristotle says the root of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. And then our own Nelson Mandela said education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Now, having said this, I want to suggest that the least thing a government or leaders can do for the people is to educate them. For some of us who had experience of school in the 80s, I mean, then you couldn't miss school for one day, and the teachers will not send those boys that are heftier, more muscular to come look for you and bundle you to school. That is, you must go to school by force. And a lot of times we make it look as if these incessant strikes are about the teacher's salary, but no. Let me tell us that when teachers are undermined, when teachers are undervalued, education is, undermined, and we make it also look like we are doing them a favor to ensure they have good livelihood. We forget that there is no president who never passed through a teacher. We forget that there's no senator who never passed through a teacher. Now, going back to those quotes that I made earlier on, education is not only important for reading and writing or for business, it also goes a long way to helping us in terms of politics. The reason why some people will just go to the polling unit and vote anybody can also be attributed to lack of education. And even in our religion, in our faith, it goes a long way to also help us. The reason why a pastor can make his disciple or followers to do certain things that we see on social media is also lack of education, because those people will never go back to the scriptures to search it and see what the word of God is saying. And on the other hand, also, the reason why some people can also go the length of even killing, burning, because of one leader said that was somebody said against their religion. It's lack of education. So I suggest that the government don't owe us a duty, the leaders owe us a duty to ensure that education is not only compulsory but by force. Because when you make it compulsory, it gives you the leverage to think that, well, if it's compulsory, I can decide not to go to school. Sir, the reason why some people will hit your car and be claiming rights is because they are not educated. For instance, sir, anyone who does cleaning job and is educated, they will do it differently. Anyone who pushes the wheelbarrow and is educated, they do it differently. So the reason why Keke Napep riders will gather themselves around a car owner who they have brushed and threaten to even kill him is because of illiteracy. Now, even some of us also that are also a little bit educated, the level of education also matters. That is why someone can be at fault in terms of an accident and they're claiming right. Why? Because they never went into the route of the Road Traffic Act rules and regulation to know that you can't overtake from a certain point. You can't speed beyond a certain point until they are brought face to face with the law before they know that they are actually committed an offense. Because most driver's licenses are issued at home. Your wife will just teach you how to drive, and then you go get driver's license. You never went through the rudiments of learning those things.
Road signs and all.
Yes, all of this is part of education. Sir, lack of education in this country is a time bomb in which. Thank you.
All right. Somi, you wanted to say some things.
Yeah, just to bring it into better context, how bad the state of things is with this strike, especially as it concerns the student. And then we go back to looking at what are the possible ways of resolving this, how we can engage with the area council chairmen who are in charge of this to ensure that these arrears are paid, or at least they come to a meeting point and sit down and negotiate, as opposed to just the apparent ignoring of the teachers involved in this. When you look at the list, according to the FCT Education Management Information Systems portal, the list of primary schools alone, public primary schools in the FCT, again, this is according to their portal, right? You have AMAC topping that list with 156 primary schools. Now picture the number of children in that one school alone. Then when you look at Kwali has 99. Kuje has 105. Gwagwalada 84, Abaji 78, Buhari 90. So when you total that, you are looking at over 600 schools shut down now because the teachers are on strike. Then when you think about the number of students who have had to go, they started going on Wednesday, they were turned back Thursday, Friday, calculate the number of pupils who are out of school right now so that we can better understand how damaging the effect of this thing is and why we absolutely need to get the area council chairman to engage.
Excuse me, Somi, let me just add this. When we keep hammering on the chairman, I want us to make it an holistic thing.
Okay.
Now, you just roll out some statistics right now.
Yes.
We have over 10.5 million children aged 10 to 14 who are out of school in this country. And going back to the effect of this incessant strike and making them stay at home is that these children are exposed to business. Then they have idea of the value of money. And then when you have 1 naira, you think of the value of 10 naira. Now, the more money you have, the more ambition you have. Now, let me just make it plain. What I mean is that when these children are being exposed to the act of spending money, knowing the value of money, they desire and they taste to have more comes in. Most times, it comes through the negative ways. You imagine, just on Friday, I parked by the roadside. I was writing an exam, so I wanted to just read before I get to the exam hall. And a young girl hop into the car, started, advertising one thing and advertising. And I just looked. And then I have to ask her, what is your age? She said, I just turned 18 a few days ago. And in my heart, I was bleeding. The flesh part of my heart suggested some things. The God side of me said no. And then the sympathetic nature of man, has sympathy on a child who at that age ought to still be fed by the parents. But no, she's out there advertising some product which she tells you is good for
whatever.
Yes, whatever. And some people are forced to ask them questions, how do you know? Say, okay, we can try it. I mean, it is actually, it's a danger for us to have too many young people selling groundnut, getting used to cheating you, learning how to pack the cup so that you are getting less for some amount of the money. They learn cheating at that age. They learn also how to spend money. They now know how to cut corners and have their own money after accounting to their parents. That money they are spending leads them to spending it wrongly, and they want more. Government should rise and do something. Sir, if a government can just face education and face it, and we resolve the issue of education in Nigeria and ensure that we have a very good education system, that government would have tried.
All right.
Sir,
yes.
I am not going to take the government out of this. You mentioned about children from early stage, being exposed to business and money, this thing. In Aba, I hawked, whether groundnut, water, and so on and so forth. If we had a system where, when I lost my father in 1988, I could go to primary, secondary school, without any stress on my mom. We were 6. You understand? I wouldn't be in the street hawking. You know how many times they pick me and they would take me to Osisioma police station. Before they would trace me to that place, maybe around 1 a.m. Before my mom would know, this is where they took me.
Because there was no phone.
There was no phone. So it's when they wait for you, 9 p.m., you're not back. They will start looking for you. By the time they move to 5 different police stations, finally, it is still the government. No child would want to be in the street hawking. Every child wants to enjoy his or her childhood.
Exactly.
Every time I was in the street hawking, I never liked it.
Exactly.
Not once.
Exactly.
Yes, I was making money.
Yes.
But not small money.
Some money you didn't remit, but
Of course, because if you are in the street, you pick the good stuff, you pick the bad ones. How did I get into gambling? It was still in that particular street hawking. You mix with all manner of people. It is still the fault of the government, 110%.
110%.
Not once I was in the street doing anything that I liked. It is when government failed. I can't exonerate them. You can't take them out of this thing. This is what I went through. It is that fear of what I went through that made me today. My mother-in-law is around. I don't want to hear anybody telling me how much I 2 is okay for me. Because my dad died early, we were 6. I saw what my mom went through. In fact, at a point, my auntie works with Export Promotion Council, Mrs. Esa, for those who know her. She knew I didn't want to marry. I don't want to bring any child into this world. Maybe something happens to me. That child will go through it. And a lot of children who are in the street today, they are going through that trauma. And that is why I keep telling Nigerians, have compassion. There's a market in day after day where once in a while I'll help madam to go to that market where they sell food stuff. There's a particular boy who always, come around. Once he sees my car, will come around. Show them love. When I interviewed that guy, he attends a public school in that day area. But you see, at least why is he always joyful? Anytime he sees me, he knows we'll go to Mama put together. We eat first. After eating, we take her barrow, we'll go shopping. Then I will pay her money and then find out what she needs for the school and so on. And I keep encouraging the small boy, do not give. At least he's lucky he's not one of those who don't even know where their parents is, but just that the father is a little bit disadvantaged in terms of being able to. So that's why he had to be in the market pushing wheelbarrow and then making 100 naira to 200 naira to survive. It is the fault of the government. When government fails, you find children doing what you are talking about, even selling. Chifusan, do you know that there are girls who are in prostitution at age of 12?
Absolutely.
13 selling their bodies to get something to support the system.
So all of this are the attendant effects of some of these things that we're seeing. Of course, now we're having cases of strike as a result of the teachers. There are other cases that brings children into those unfortunate situations. But regarding this one now, how do we get out of this? What happens where that what can we do so that the area council chairman will sit down and engage? They must engage at some level.
So I feel the local government system in Nigeria is, for me, I'm sorry. The reason why I'm saying this, remember that from our law, they are supposed to take care of this primary school education, right? I think they are useless. They are practically useless. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
They are useless. It is not lack of fund. There is enough money for a local government chairman to be driving a Prado. How much is a Prado? You have a Hillock. Some of them, they move with as much as 2 expensive vehicles. It is so. If you invite them now, you can invite them from this time of the year to next year. They won't come. You see, when we are crying for this autonomy, they don't need it. If it's when somebody is performing, he's delivering, you can say, oh, let's give him more fund, let's give him space, let him perform.
But should we go with Lolo's suggestion? I mean, she made a point that when she was in a particular school, teachers were not paid, and they ensured that the parents ensured that the school management paid the teachers. So should we say that parents of these children should either go to their area councils and go to meet the area council chairman? I know that some of these schools have PTA groups. Can the chairman of the PTA groups lead these parents to the area councils and let them speak with the area council chairman? Because, I mean, the teachers are only following the order from their NUT. They must have reported and say, you know what, it looks like this is the best thing. Let's down tool and go back home. So should that be a solution?
That should be one of it. And another thing is, I think I should ask these questions. So these local government chairmen, are they accountable?
Oh yes, they are.
To who? Like who supervises? Who checks what they do?
So for FCT, I know that they are accountable to the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Minister for State. I remember